Hey. Good morning, everyone. Today is the 18th day of Nissan, Chai Nissan, and the third day of the Omer. Don't forget to drink a revius of wine. Don't forget to have some matzah. And now we're going to learn the purpose of why we have bittul, why we do a mitzvah. And it is to give, Alex, you're going to love this one, to give Avinu Shabashamayim nachas. We want to give Hashem nachas, do a mitzvah. Speaking of, oh, he did it already, okay. He gave the nachas or he learned the Tanya? Or both? Okay. Speaking of the form of service that was earlier deemed surrender of the soul, to have bittul to Hashem, the Alter Rebbe will now go on to say that it should be undertaken not for the sake of returning our soul to its original source, but only to give Hashem pleasure. Mesiras nefesh is not that we want to die, we want to give a return our neshama, but we want to give Hashem nachas ruah. And again, we're going back from the Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem. All that sounds like it's very heavy. But if you just break it down to wanting to give Hashem nachas, simple. Just like you want to give your father nachas. All of one's intent in the surrender of his soul, when you say, when you're ready to give yourself up before you do a mitzvah, Hashem through Torah, through davening, to elevate the spark of godliness in the soul back to its source. Should be for the sole purpose of giving Hashem nachas. How do you translate that? Gratification, delight, pleasure. It's impossible. Nachas is only a Hebrew word that nachas. There's no real way. You could use 10, 15 different words to try to describe it. Nachas to Hashem. Imagine the joy of a king when his only son returns to him after being released from captivity or imprisonment. Which reminds us, here's Jeff, the hostages should be returned home now. So imagine the king is waiting for his son to be released from being kidnapped, held ransom, imprisoned, whatever it was. As we explained earlier, and imagine he comes home. The joy of the king is so great, similar to the fact that I'm having trouble figuring out a translation for the word nachas. The king he can't describe to you how he feels. And that's how Hashem feels when we do a mitzvah. It's just a euphoric feeling. In chapter 31, the Alter Rebbe compared the neshama's return to Hashem through Torah and Tefillah to the return of a captive prince to his overjoyed father, the king. It's interesting because we're trying to give nachas to Avinu Malkeinu. So the muscle that the Alter Rebbe brings is a king that's also a father. Works out well. So he has great joy when his son is reunited with him, with the king, with Hashem, after his imprisonment within the body and the animal soul. When the neshama comes back. But it can come back even while it's still in the body when a person does tshuva. Because that's the concept of return. Accordingly, as a yid prepares to study Torah and engage in tefillah, his spiritual objective to be that his reunion come about for the sole purpose of bringing nachas to his neshama's father in heaven. However, the Alter Rebbe explained earlier that in order to attain this degree of selfless love, one must have attained an extremely lofty degree of spirituality, a level possessed only by tzaddikim. How then could that be expected of every yid? We're probably not on that level. I speak for myself. You might think it's out of reach. The Alter Rebbe comes to tell you, no. It's within the ability, capability, and within arm's reach of every single Jew to think for a moment before he does a mitzvah, I want to do this to give nachas to my father in heaven. It's that simple. Just think to yourself, I want to give my father, the king, nachas. Where does he get this ability to give nachas to Hashem? And even the ability to say it and think it and believe it and buy in? From Yerusha, the natural love, which is a heritage that comes all the way from Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Nevertheless, but he also has to put aside some time. Can't just rely on the heritage that came through our genes, through our DNA. You have to put an effort on your own also. He has to establish set periods of reflection of the greatness of Hashem, especially before he does the mitzvah, to attain intellectually generated fear and love. It's not just enough that I'm a Jew in my heart. No, you have to put your mind to it, and you have to think the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and how much this mitzvah means to him. And with all this, perhaps one may succeed in attaining a love and a fear for Hashem before he does a mitzvah. Thus, although one already possesses a hidden love for Hashem that was given to him, he still has to seek to attain that level of love and fear of Hashem that is born of his own intellectual endeavor. So the takeaway for today, Chavra, don't suffice with a generic contemplation of inherent desire to be one with Hashem. Don't just rely on the fact that, maminim b'nei maminim, we were chosen by Hashem, natural. We have to put in time. We have to spend time studying about Hashem and thinking about Hashem's greatness. We make God real by thinking, I want to give him nachas. Make it practical to you. And then we develop real feelings towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Anyways, have a wonderful day, a good Moed, and a good night of Shabbos. And I guess we'll see you after Shabbos.